Well, this is a great feel-good episode for us petrolheads. If you're into cars, you'll be familiar with the utterly bonkers Mercedes G-Wagon, or G-Class, which looks like a pimped-up Land Rover, and in the top-spec G63 model, sports an equally bonkers 4-litre twin-turbo V8, with nearly 600 horsepower and 850 Newton-meters of torque. There was an even more climate-destroying model for a while, the G65, with the legendary Mercedes V12 engine, a version of which is still used in the ludicrously exotic and expensive Pagani hypercars. All of these crazy versions had side-pipe exhausts that made some of the best noises ever to emanate from a vehicle. So it doesn't take a genius to deduce that if you rip that powertrain out and replace it by an essentially characterless and bland battery and motor, then nobody still in possession of their proper mental faculties would ever be interested in buying the damn thing. But despite this, the decision makers at Mercedes still thought it would be a great idea, despite being slower, having less range and costing almost 15% more than the petrol equivalent. And now even the executives admit it's been a total flop. Hilarious. Welcome back to MGUY, British engineer and lawyer, now Sydney-based YouTuber. Please make sure you've clicked that subscribe button down below and enabled all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to support this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Before we get on to the G-Class story, there are a couple of other related articles that demonstrate that when a brain-dead politician like Chris Bowen threatens to take away our V8s, what do proper Aussies do? We stick two fingers up and go out and buy more of them, that's what. Which is precisely what has happened with the Ford Mustang, with buyers flocking to the V8 version and sensibly turning their noses up at the ghastly Mach-E electric monstrosity. Ford Mustang sales surged to 7-year high, beating electric Mach-E 17-1. Who said V8s were done and dusted? Buyers are taking delivery of Ford Mustang sports cars at a level not seen since 2018. The Ford Mustang two-door sports car has reported its strongest monthly sales in Australia in almost 7 years, as deliveries of the new model launched late last year ramp up. And it is convincingly outperforming the slow-selling electric car that shares its name, the Mustang Mach-E SUV, which last month reported just 42 deliveries, compared to 720 two-doors. Last month's tally is the Mustang's best result since 780 reached customers in November 2018, although it is down on its record of 1,351 sales in May 2017. Since January the 1st, Ford has handed over 2,489 two-door Mustangs, more than it did in all of 2024, 23 and 22, although not 2021. It has outsold every other sports car in its price bracket combined: the Mazda MX-5, Mini Convertible, Nissan Z, Subaru BRZ and Toyota GR86. The Mustang's monthly average of 498 deliveries places it on track at a projected 5,974 cars by year's end for its highest annual sales result since a tally of 6,412 was reported in 2018. It's despite costing much more now than it did then, at $87,000, plus on-road costs for the volume-selling GT Fastback V8 automatic, against $66,000 for its mid-2018 equivalent. And this is the delicious punchline. In contrast, Ford has sold 223 Mustang Mach-E electric SUVs so far this year, an otherwise unrelated vehicle that controversially wears the iconic badge, compared to nearly 10,000 Tesla Model Ys. It is despite offering drive-away deals that cut $7,000 off the price of the base model, which is now $63,000 on the road. Yes, because it's just a bland electric Eco Blob to which Ford, in a moment of utter madness, applied the legendary Mustang badge. And it's not just Ford, but also Ram, which has admitted it's screwed up and is returning to its petrolhead heritage. Ram to bring V8 engines back to utes. An American giant has backflipped on a controversial call, conceding they screwed up and everyone makes mistakes. "Ambition is a dream with a V8 engine," Elvis Presley once said, perfectly encapsulating the bent eight's enduring appeal both in the US and Australia. So you don't need much of an imagination to figure out what happened when Ram dropped it from its iconic full-size 1500 Ute. Sales slumped, profits plummeted, shares fell, dealers revolted, and unions waged war over shutdowns and enforced layoffs that eventually triggered the Stellantis Group's own chief executive to fall on his sword. In reality, it's dubious the King ever said the original V8 quote, and it would be stretching the truth to say that dumping the V8 was the root of either Ram's or Stellantis' crippling issues. But when an available scapegoat is on hand, who wouldn't want to grab it with both hands and bask in the warm, fuzzy glow of giving die-hard enthusiasts with the loudest voices exactly what they want? "Everyone makes mistakes, but how you handle it defines you," said Ram Chief Executive Tim Kuniskis. "Ram screwed up when we dropped the Hemi. We own it and we fixed it." Well, good for them. And now to Mercedes, who must have really, genuinely and sincerely thought that an electric G-Class was a winner. The fools. Mercedes exec calls £155,000 electric version of iconic SUV a complete flop. A Mercedes-Benz executive has described the new electric version of one of its most iconic models as a complete flop that dealers are struggling to shift. It is reportedly being outsold 7-1 by the petrol variant of the same SUV model, which for years has been a massive hit among celebrities and especially professional footballers. The car in question is the G-Class, or G-Wagon, which has been reinvented for an electric generation with the arrival of the £155,000 G580 EV last year. Only 1,450 examples have been delivered since its launch, whereas the £133,000 gas-guzzling alternative continues to prove popular among well-heeled clients who snapped up 9,700 units over the same period to the end of April, German business newspaper Handelsblatt claims. It reported that one exec said, "The car is sitting like lead at dealers. It's a complete flop," as they referenced its poor sales performance amidst a wider EV slowdown. And not only that, but the practicality and performance is worse than the petrol version it was supposed to replace, including a laughably low top speed, which is typical of electric drivetrains. However, because of its extra half-ton of bulk over the petrol alternatives, it is 0.4 seconds slower to 62 miles per hour than the burbling 4-litre twin-turbo V8 G63 AMG, and its 112 miles per hour top speed is down on the AMG's 149. The additional heft of the battery pack also limits the electric G-Class's full charge battery range, which is just 292 miles, according to the WLTP test cycle used in the UK and Europe. Other factors are limiting the G580's appeal to customers, including its steep premium over a 6-cylinder internal combustion engine variant, a maximum payload of just 415 kilograms, and the lack of a practical tow bar as an option. And if you towed anything with it, you'd cut that paltry range in half anyway. That's probably why they don't offer one. As someone with 98 octane flowing through his veins, I'm glad that these electric monstrosities are a flop, and that muscle cars like the Mustang are gaining popularity again. The whole point of these extreme cars is the engine. I've said it before and I'll say it again, as Enzo Ferrari once quipped, "You buy the engine and the car comes free." If you rip the heart and soul out of these cars, then they become just bland eco blobs with zero character and zero engagement, no matter how fast they can accelerate from 0 to 60. What we're seeing here is the result of elite politicians who inhabit their ivory towers in Canberra or Westminster, trying to tell the ordinary folk what to do, what car to buy, when you can put the washing machine on, and all the other limits on liberty that net zero will inevitably impose on us. But they won't take away our petrol engines without a fight. And even if they eventually succeed, there will be even more incentive to maintain and care for those remaining cars as long as possible. Long live the V8! Thanks very much for watching, really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips or stories, go there. If you'd like to watch another video, go there. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, go there. And please subscribe to the channel.